In Jakarta's endless bustle, where the city never truly sleeps and the streets are always alive with movement, Affan Kurniawan stood out, not for fame, but for the weight he carried at just 21, a burden few his age could imagine. He was the main provider for his family, working as an ojol, an online motorcycle taxi driver, weaving through Jakarta's traffic to earn a living. Each morning he donned his green jacket and helmet, ready to face the city's chaos, determined to make every day count. His earnings paid for his sister's school, giving her a chance at a brighter future that he himself had to put on hold. And put food on the table, ensuring his family never went hungry, even when times were tough. As his parents' odd jobs, long hours spent at the market or doing manual labor, and his brother's income weren't enough to cover the family's basic needs. Affan's sense of duty was unwavering. He was a quiet hero, sacrificing youth for family stability, never complaining, always pushing forward. Before this, he'd worked as a security guard, learning discipline and reliability, skills that would serve him well on the road. The ojol life offered more freedom and more risk, but Affan embraced it with determination, knowing every ride mattered. He was part of Jakarta's lifeblood, delivering people and packages, keeping the city moving, one journey at a time. His landlord recalled seeing him leave before dawn, always focused, always working, rarely taking a day off. While others his age chased dreams, Affan's dream was his family's well-being, his hopes tied to their happiness. He was a pillar of strength, a young man whose sacrifices made him the backbone of his home, holding everyone together. His story echoes that of countless Indonesian youths, shouldering immense responsibility with quiet dignity, often unnoticed by the world. Affan's life was not about leisure or self-interest, but about love, duty, and hope for a better future for those he loved most. In a city of millions, he was one of the silent, essential few, an unsung hero whose story deserves to be told. August 28, 2025. Jakarta was a city on edge. Thousands gathered near the House of Representatives, protesting lawmakers' allowances. The city center pulsed with chants, banners, and a heavy police presence. Brimob, the elite mobile brigade, arrived in armored vehicles, signaling the seriousness of the unrest. Streets like Pejompongan and Bendungan Hilir, usually busy with daily life, became battlegrounds. As evening fell, chaos erupted, sirens blared, crowds surged, and police moved to disperse protesters. For many, it was a day of political action. For others, a day of disruption and fear. Office workers, street vendors, and ojol drivers like Affan tried to navigate the turmoil, just wanting to get home or finish their work. The protests paralyzed the city, turning ordinary routines into dangerous gambles. Most Jakartans weren't part of the protest, but all felt its impact. This was the backdrop for a tragedy that would soon shake the nation. In the storm of politics, innocent lives were at risk. That Thursday evening, Affan wasn't thinking about protests or politics. He was focused on a GoFood delivery, just like any other night. His mind was on the order, the route, and the hope of a smooth trip through the city. His green Gojek jacket marked him as a worker, not a protester. It was a symbol of his daily grind, a badge that set him apart from the crowds gathering for other reasons. Navigating Pejompongan's congested streets, he followed his app's directions, just trying to complete another order. The city's chaos was just background noise to him. His focus was on the next delivery, the next customer. Eyewitnesses confirmed, Affan was simply doing his job, not involved in the demonstrations. He was seen weaving through traffic, intent on his task, unaware of the tension building around him. For ojol drivers, every delivery matters. Each one brings them closer to supporting their families. The money earned from each trip helps pay for school fees, groceries, and daily needs. Affan was a vital part of Jakarta's economy, a neutral party caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like thousands of others, he kept the city moving, even when the streets were tense. The app led him straight into a zone of conflict, a risk gig workers face daily. Their routes are dictated by algorithms, not by choice, and sometimes those routes cross dangerous paths. He was a non-combatant, a civilian whose only mission was to provide for his loved ones. Every ride was a step toward a better future for his family. His story is a stark reminder. Civil unrest often ensnares the innocent. Ordinary people just trying to get by can become victims of forces far beyond their control. Affan's presence on that street was a matter of necessity, not choice. He was there because his work demanded it, not because he sought out danger. He was a son and brother, working to build a better life. His family depended on his dedication and courage every single day. That distinction, worker, not protester, makes the tragedy all the more profound. It's a painful reminder of how easily lives can be upended by events they never intended to be part of. In the chaos, he was just trying to get through another day, hoping to return home safely, like so many others who work quietly behind the scenes of a restless city. The tragedy struck in mere seconds, witnessed in horror by Affan's colleague Hafidz, who could do nothing but watch as events unfolded. Affan was crossing near Bendungan Hilir, a busy intersection in Jakarta, when a Brimob Barracuda vehicle suddenly sped toward him, its siren blaring. The massive armored vehicle struck Affan and his motorcycle with brutal force, sending him crashing to the ground in a tangle of metal and limbs. Instead of stopping to help, the driver continued forward, the heavy vehicle rolling mercilessly over Affan's body without hesitation. The vehicle didn't pause for even a moment, leaving devastation and chaos in its wake as shocked witnesses looked on. Another ojol driver, Mo Umar Amaruddin, was also struck in the incident. He survived, but suffered a broken leg and severe trauma. Panic erupted instantly. Bystanders rushed to help, desperate to save Affan and offer comfort, their voices filled with fear and urgency. Affan was rushed to Dr. Cipto Mangunkusumo Hospital, but with every passing minute, hope faded as his injuries proved catastrophic. Despite the doctor's efforts, there was nothing they could do. Affan was pronounced dead on arrival, his life cut short. At just 21 years old, his future was stolen in a moment of senseless violence and official negligence. He died still wearing his work jacket, the food he was delivering scattered across the street, a haunting reminder of his final moments. What should have been a routine delivery became a fatal encounter, not by his mistake, but by reckless force and a lack of accountability. The armored vehicle's indifference and the authorities' silence turned a personal tragedy into a wave of public outrage. Affan's death was not just an accident. It was a devastating failure of responsibility that left a community in mourning. In a single, heart-wrenching instant, a family's world was shattered forever, and a city was left demanding answers. Affan's loss was more than a statistic. It was the collapse of a family's foundation. He lived with his parents, older brother, and a younger sister still in school. His parents' odd jobs barely covered essentials. Affan's earnings kept the family afloat. He left home before sunrise, returning late, driven by duty and love. His sister's education was his priority. He wanted her to have the opportunities he never had. Affan's quiet diligence was the glue holding his family together. Now their main support is gone and the future is uncertain. Who will pay for his sister's schooling? Who will help his aging parents? The armored vehicle didn't just end a life, it destabilized an entire household. Affan was their hope, their security, their future. His death is a personal tragedy with lasting economic and emotional consequences. The void he leaves cannot be filled. His story is a reminder of how one act of violence ripples through many lives. The day after his death, Affan was laid to rest at Karet Bivak Cemetery. Thousands of ojol drivers formed a massive convoy, escorting him in a sea of green. The procession was a powerful display of unity. Drivers who usually compete, now standing together in grief. They sacrificed a day's earnings to honor their fallen brother. The cemetery was filled with sorrow and anger, prayers mingled with demands for justice. When the Jakarta police chief arrived, he was met with shouts of "Murderer!" Apologies weren't enough. Gojek's parent company, pledged support for Affan's family. The drivers began organizing, determined to seek accountability. Affan's funeral became a rallying point, transforming private grief into a public cause. The ojol community showed the strength of solidarity in the face of tragedy. News of Affan's death spread rapidly, sparking national outrage. On social media, the hashtag #PolisiPembunuRakyat trended, with tens of thousands demanding justice. Protests erupted at police headquarters, fueled by distrust of law enforcement's use of force. Critics questioned the massive police budget for crowd control. Was it for protection or repression? Affan's story became a symbol of the ordinary citizen crushed by state power. Celebrities and public figures amplified the call for justice, ensuring Affan's story wasn't forgotten. Even international voices joined in solidarity. The government was forced to respond. President Prabowo ordered a transparent investigation. He promised severe sanctions for those found guilty. The nation's grief and anger made silence impossible. Affan's death became a rallying cry for change. The demand for justice grew louder, uniting family drivers and the public. Why was a tactical vehicle speeding through a crowded area? Why didn't the driver stop? Police announced an investigation. 7 Brimob officers were questioned. But skepticism remained. Would this be another case swept under the rug? The public wanted transparency, real consequences, and criminal charges if warranted. President Prabowo's intervention gave hope that this case wouldn't be ignored. Justice here means more than discipline. It means accountability for a lost life. The outcome is personal for thousands of ojol drivers who risk their lives daily. A just resolution would affirm that every life matters, regardless of status. The call for justice is a plea for fairness and humanity. As the nation demands answers, the Kurniawan family faces a painful new reality. Their grief is deep, their future uncertain without Affan's support. Community solidarity brings comfort, but what they need most is justice. They want Affan's death recognized as a profound loss, not a statistic. Their hope rests on a thorough, impartial investigation and real accountability. For them, justice is validation, proof that Affan's life mattered. They want change, so no other family suffers as they have. Society must stand with them, demanding transparency and reform. Affan's story should drive real change in policing and public safety. May the Kurniawan family find strength, and may we work for a future where such tragedies never happen again. Affan's memory must inspire us to value every life and demand justice for all.